This is Boxing Talk 8576. I want to talk about some things that's going on in boxing, some boxing news, and how boxing has become, or in essential, in a sense, boxing is like the Wild Wild West. But let's get to some boxing news. It's a lot of rumors out there about certain matchups that's supposed to be happening. It's a rumor about Mayweather versus Khan, Pacquiao versus everybody. The latest one was Pacquiao versus Gamboa, and Martinez versus Cotto. If that's not done yet, I don't know if it's done yet, but until it's done, it's a rumor. But let's talk about some matchups that have already been made. The light heavyweight fight between Pascal and Lucien Bute. That's an interesting matchup. I got Lucien Bute winning this fight. Jean Pascal, he's all right. He more relies on his speed and athleticism. He don't throw a lot of punches. You've seen that in the Hopkins fight. You've seen it in the Chad Dawson fight. He just don't throw a lot of punches. He's not a volume puncher. He's more like a hit you with a couple punches by surprise and get out of there, and don't be really active for the rest of the round. Lucien Bute is more technically sound. Lucien Bute has a jab, he has an uppercut, he has a hook. He has pretty good defensive skills. He can move around the ring well. I know he lost against Carl Froch, but he has since won, I think, a couple fights in a row since then. But I got Lucien Bute winning this fight by probably unanimous decision. It's a couple heavyweight fights out there. David Price versus Kostym Erich. I don't know who that is, but David Price, I know who that is. The heavyweight division is so fickle, and we don't know a whole lot of guys in the heavyweight division. It's hard to say who's really good and who's not good. I know Brian Jennings, he has a fight coming up. Both of these fights are supposed to be on January the 25th. Brian Jennings is a heavyweight that's undefeated. I don't know how good he is. I've seen a couple of his fights. Against the competition that he fought, he looks pretty good. But the heavyweight division is unless you're a Klitschko, one of the Klitschkos that we know are really good. We don't know about these other guys until they, face one of the Klitschkos. Knocking off one of the Klitschkos will prove to me that you're one of the best heavyweights out there. Until then, all the heavyweights are like in the same barrel. You know what I'm saying? You can just toss that up and get a winner out of there. The next fight is Canelo versus Angulo. A lot of people got this fight as a landslide for Canelo. I think Canelo is going to win the fight, but I don't think it's going to be a landslide. Angulo is a live underdog. He's a pressure fighter. He will come in there and take, take 2 or 3 to land his one hard shot. So he's a dangerous fighter, always a dangerous fighter. He fought Lara in his last fight. He knocked Lara down twice. He was able, to pressure Lara and catch up with Lara, and Lara has really good foot work and foot movement and foot speed, and he was able to cut off the ring. He has a new trainer, Virgil Hunter. Think this is his second fight with Virgil Hunter, or maybe his third fight, if I'm not mistaken. But Virgil Hunter has, you've seen in that Lara fight, he had a couple, wrinkles to his game. Maybe, he'll have a couple more wrinkles in this fight, and maybe he can pull an upset. But I got Canelo winning this fight. Canelo has problems with guys that can move. We've seen that in the Mayweather fight. So they are trying to get him a fighter that will come straight at him, straight at his power, straight at his punches. So a guy that he don't have to find, which is Angulo. You see they didn't put him in the ring with Lara. Lara is, in my opinion, a bigger Mayweather, fights like Mayweather in that moving style, hit you moving style, pretty good defense. So they would not put him in there with Lara, at least not at this moment. Maybe down the line, but they trying to build Canelo's confidence back up, because he got outclassed in that Mayweather fight. To me, he didn't even, when the fight was getting away from him, he didn't really try. He should have, you know what I'm saying? I seen that he was trying some different things in there, but the one thing he should have did was just put like about round 5 or round 6, he just should have threw caution to the wind and just pressured him and just, risk getting knocked out. But hey, at least try to win the fight. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't even matter if he got knocked out or stopped or whatever or badly hurt. You have to show that you want the fight. And to me, he didn't show that he wanted to fight. So, but this should be a intriguing matchup. It should be a good matchup. It shouldn't be on no pay-per-view. If it's on pay-per-view, I advise y'all not to buy this fight, because both of these guys are coming off a loss. Why would you pay for a fight with two guys coming off a loss? That's absurd that they even, put this fight on pay-per-view, unless it's on the undercard of Mayweather fight. But Broner has exercised his right to fight Maidana. So it's going to be a Broner Maidana 2 in April. So I don't know. A lot of people saying Broner has to move around a lot in this fight, get on his toes. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if you would have took a fight in between this fight, you know what I'm saying, not a soft touch up, but a fighter that's a little bit scaled down from Maidana, that fights kind of like Maidana in a pressure situation, and showed in that fight that he can get on his toes and fight for 12 rounds, I would have been like, okay, maybe he has a chance to fight, 12 rounds on his toes. But I have to see it. I have never seen it before. He's more like a walk you down, flat-footed fighter. I mean, he's in the Philly shell, but he has a different dimension to his Philly shell. His Philly shell, he stands right in front of you just about the whole fight and trust that Philly shell. But Maidana showed that he can break through that Philly shell if you stand in front of him like that and try to use it. I don't know, a lot of people say Broner is going to get on his, like, they talking about like it's easy to do. See, his muscle memory is to stand there and be flat-footed, you know what I'm saying, and rely on his power and his Philly shell. It's not all of a sudden he's not going to go to moving around, you know what I'm saying, like Mayweather moves around. It's not going to happen. Maybe he could do it for three, maybe 4 rounds, and then he was going to go back to what he knows, you know what I'm saying, when it started getting hot and heavy. And I see Maidana winning for the second time. I just see him winning for the second time. Mayweather told Broner he should move down to 140, because I believe Mayweather wanted this Maidana fight. That's why that Khan Mayweather fight has not really been officially announced. Just a lot of rumors out there, because I believe Mayweather wanted this Maidana fight. He sees it as an easy fight for him to win, you know what I'm saying? And Maidana's name is hot. He beat Broner. That'd be a good storyline. He beat your little brother. Now you're going to come and try to avenge your brother loss. But it seems like Broner says, no, I can't live with that loss. I have to fight Maidana right away. So we'll see what he brings in the second fight. To me, Broner is going to still, be in the line of fire as far as Maidana is concerned, because Maidana's he's just going to get better. Each training camp he's with Robert Garcia, he's getting better, so he's going to be better. He's going to be better in the rematch, and he's going to come in there with crazy confidence. You know what I'm saying? He has the mental edge on Broner now, because he beat him. He not only beat him, he beat him up. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between getting beat, but Broner got beat up at what he does. It didn't like Broner went in there and did something different. He went in there and did what he's been successful at doing throughout his career, and he got beaten. And that's, that's tough when a guy beats you and you on your A game. He was on his A game. He did what he does, but it didn't work against Maidana. So now he's gonna. To me, it's a psychological. You got the psychological edge on the guy when they have to make him do something else. So now Broner have to go through training camp, think about the Maidana loss, and think about, what he has to do different. Maidana doesn't have to do a whole lot different. Maidana, he can probably bring a couple more wrinkles in the fight, but to me, Maidana moved very well. He came in on angles. He was using his jab, and that's all he needs to do, and to win the fight for the second time. But I want to talk about boxing being the wild, wild west. What I mean about that is boxing has no one overseeing this stuff. I mean, it's like everybody doing what they want to do. Fighters doing what they want to do. The promoters doing what they want to do. The commissions doing what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? You have a commission in New York that's different from the commission in LA, that's different from the commission in Nevada, that's different from the commission in Tennessee, and Texas and all that stuff. So everybody got their rules on drug policies, and certain places will drug test you after the fight, certain places won't. So we don't know who's doing what far as the drug thing is concerned. But you have fighters like Robert Guerrero turning down fights. He's trying to get out his Golden Boy contract because I guess he want to fight. Rumors that he want to fight Manny Pacquiao, but he signed the contract. Now he's trying to use the Muhammad Ali Act because he said that Golden Boy made him sign the contract, or told him if he didn't sign the contract that he wouldn't fight Mayweather. Because he was Mayweather's #1 contender, that he would not fight Mayweather. So he signed a multi-fight contract so he can get the Mayweather fight. That's what he's claiming, that they put pressure on him and said if he don't sign for a multi-year fight contract that he won't get the Mayweather fight. So he did it so he can get the Mayweather fight, because that was a big money fight. I think he made like $3 or $4 million in that fight. But we'll see what goes on with that. But he turned down several fights. He turned down the Keith Thurman fight. We seen that he turned down the Keith Thurman fight because he said it out of his own mouth. Richard Schaefer said he offered him Porter and some other fights, and he said every fight he came to Guerrero with, Guerrero turned it down. See, Guerrero is trying to cash himself out because, look, he fought Mayweather. That was a $3 million fight. You know what I'm saying? And now he's trying to fight Pacquiao. So it seems like to me that he's trying to fight the cash cows. If he's gonna lose, he's gonna lose to the big name guys and still make money. There's nothing wrong with that. But in my estimation, you lost against Mayweather, and now you're trying to say I deserve a fight with the next big, star in boxing, which is Manny Pacquiao. If you lose a major fight to the biggest fighter, in boxing today, to me you should have fights where you have to move up, because it's someone else in line. It's someone else that deserves the Pacquiao fight to fight for big money. It's somebody else that deserves to fight Mayweather for big money. You already had your chance. You should go back to the back of the line and move up and fight a fighter like a Keith Thurman. You fight a fight like Keith Thurman, you beat Keith Thurman, you back in the mix. You know what I'm saying? You want to get into the mix right away, which you shouldn't be able to get in the mix right away. See, that's why boxing is the wild, wild west, because these guys, yes, you want the fighters to make the most money, but you don't want fighters to get second and third chances when there's another guy out there that deserves the chance. You know what I'm saying? Like Celtic Aydin, a couple years back, he was Mayweather's #1 contender for like a couple years, because the guy was undefeated for a while, and I think he was Mayweather's #1 contender for 2 years, and you know what I'm saying, he never got the fight, Mayweather, never fought him because, he can say, oh, he doesn't have a name, and then the public will say, oh, who is he? Why should Mayweather have to fight him? But he's the #1 contender for a reason. He bite and clawed and scratched his way up to the top. He kept winning when they were putting fighters in front of him. He wasn't like a media hype fighter. Media hype fighters like Canelo, they don't have to do a whole lot to get up there to fight a Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? But people like Aydin and Jose, those guys have to fight, keep winning to be able to become #1 contenders. And then to me, it's like their hard work is in vain, because they did all that hard work and they still don't get to fight the champion. You know what I'm saying? Or get the big money fight with the champion. And to me, that's wrong. Is these commissions and sanctioning bodies needs to start putting bigger penalties on these champions that don't want to fight their #1 contenders. To me, I got a way to solve it. Like Mayweather, if you fight Mayweather, most fighters make about $3-4 million. Like, say for instance, his #1 contender is sitting right there. Let's say he has a #1 contender for his welterweight title, which is Manny Pacquiao right now for his WBC championship. He has Manny Pacquiao as his #1 contender. Say for instance he don't want to fight Manny Pacquiao. Okay, you got to vacate the belt, the WBC title, and you got to pay Manny Pacquiao $1 million. You got to vacate the title and pay Manny Pacquiao $1 million, and Pacquiao gets to fight for the vacant title against another opponent in the welterweight division. As soon as it gets vacant, he gets the chance to fight for the belt. You know what I'm saying? They have to start hitting these guys in the pocket, and then I know certain fighters don't make as much money as Mayweather. Like say let's say Bradley, and he has his number one contender for his WBO welterweight belt. Let's say he don't want to fight the guy, he want to go fight Pacquiao, and he don't want to fight his number one contender. Okay, you don't want to fight your number one contender. You vacate the WBO title, and you pay the fighter on how much an average opponent gets paid against you when they fight you. Like say for instance, Bradley makes $3 million to fight, and his opponent usually makes $1 million. Okay, you have to pay the number one contender $500,000 and vacate the WBO title. That way, the number one contender gets a nice little purse. Probably in essence, he probably gonna get the biggest purse he ever made, which is, you know what I'm saying, the money that you're gonna pay him for skipping over him, and you vacate the title, and the number one contender gets to fight for that title. He gets the first shot to fight for that title against someone else in the division. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to fight your number one contender, you're gonna get big time penalized, or you fight him. Do what champions do. Fight your number one contender. Now, if you fight your number one contender and then you go look for a big money fight, I have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you fight your number one contender and then you go look for a big money fight and then you win that big money fight, guess what? You got to fight your the number one contender that's next in your division. The guy that's a number one contender that made the number one contender again in your division. This way, guys will be sitting on the sidelines, you know what I'm saying, trying to cherry pick, you know what I'm saying, their way to the top, or cherry pick every opponent. You have to fight your number one contender, or you get big time penalized. You know what I'm saying? You lose your belt. You know what I'm saying? You lose your belt, and you got to pay them a nice chunk of money. So either or, the number one contender is going to get his just due one way or the other. He's going to get to fight for the title, and he's going to get extra money, and then he's going to get paid for when he fight for the title. He's going to get he's going to get 2 paydays, and one of the paydays he don't even have to fight for, because I think the number one contenders are deserving of their title shot and their payday, because these guys crawled, bite, scratched, fought in and obscured, you know what I'm saying, fought in front of probably 50, 60, 70 people when they were coming up, you know what I'm saying, and they deserve a shot. So to me, if we put big time penalties on these champions, and then we will force them to fight their number one contenders, because you should fight your number one contender, and then look for the big money fight. And then guess what? After that big money fight, you already got a fight scheduled, because you got to fight the number one contender, the next guy in line, the next guy in line. So you won't have a chance to cherry pick your way. And then who knows? We may in this under this system, we probably will bring up new boxing stars, because guess what? One of them number one contenders is gonna knock off some of these champions, because number one contenders are, for one, they are hungry. They've been through wars mentally, physically in the ring, so the champion will not scare them. And trust me, every time they're in training camp, they have a picture of the champion on their wall. They know what they want to go after. This is how you make new stars in boxing. This is how we could stop the recycling bin of having the same people fight the same people. That's why when certain people come up, we're like, man, who is that? I don't know who that is. And then he upsets somebody, and we're like, man, was you really that good? Or was the number one contender really good? And in a lot of cases, the number one contender was good. He just wasn't, you know what I'm saying, seen. No one was able to see the guy to see if he was really good. So this way we create new stars, and boxing can thrive more, instead of having the champions suck up all the money and all the praise and all of the visibility, you know what I'm saying, being on HBO, being on Showtime, being on ESPN, and we don't get to see no one else. Like back in the day, you got champions fought their number one contenders, and number one contenders was knocking off some of these champions. So, you know what I'm saying, like people like Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia don't have no opponent. He's a WBC linear champion at 140, and he don't have an opponent. Like, why doesn't he have an opponent? He should be fighting the number one contender, or who's next in line for his belt, and then look for a big money fight. You know what I'm saying? Then we won't be saying that Danny Garcia don't have no opponent. It's absurd that the 140-pound linear champion doesn't have an opponent. Bradley doesn't have an opponent. You know what I'm saying? Like, how long does it take to get you an opponent? Because these guys promoters are trying to cherry pick their way for their fighters and trying to look for the best quote unquote option instead of, you know what I'm saying, we having a governing body and a sanctioning body for these belts saying, no, you got to fight your number one contender. We're not gonna let you sit around for 3-4 months. You know what I'm saying? After a fight, trying to chase. You know what I'm saying? Either trying to chase that big money fight or you trying to cherry pick. No, you have to fight your number one contender. That way, it benefits the fighters because it keeps you busy. You know what I'm saying? You don't blow up in weight in between fights, and the number one contender gets to get their title shot. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather, you the biggest name in boxing, and yet you don't have no opponent yet. You don't have no opponent announced. Like, it's been 3 or 4 months now, and you don't have an opponent now announced. Like, why is that? You know what I'm saying? You the face of boxing. You know what I'm saying? What you do is with these other guys, because these other guys trying to follow Mayweather's blueprint of, you know what I'm saying, cherry pick, don't fight your number one contender, you don't have to fight your number one contender, you know what I'm saying, who is the number one contender, he's nobody. See, that's, to me, that's taken away from boxing when you say the number one contender is nobody, because the number one contender and all the contenders in a division is what's helping the division, you know what I'm saying, get good fights, because a lot of those guys are on the same level skill wise, and you get good fights. You get really, really good fights. Like, before Bradley fought Provodnikov, I seen Provodnikov on ESPN sometimes. You know, he's a really good fighter. But it took Bradley to fight him, you know what I'm saying, to give him a shot to fight him, so everybody else on a bigger stage can see Provodnikov. Now look, Provodnikov is a champion. He beat Alvarado. He stopped Alvarado. He gave Bradley the fight of his life. And look, we got a new star. That's how we get new stars, because fighters should go out there and fight guys that are their number one contenders or in the top 5 or something in their weight division, so we can see what else is out there, so the public can have other options. Like Manny Pacquiao and Guerrero. Who wants to see that? I don't want to see that fight. Guerrero came off a loss against Mayweather. He should get back to the back of the line. He should fight a contender like you know what I'm saying, Keith Thurman. He should fight that Keith Thurman fight. He should, you know what I'm saying, and that fight will get you back in the mix. You shouldn't be able to go straight to another big money fight after you just lost a big money fight. That don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And boxing is like a hustle sport. It's everybody trying to get their hustle on. That's the problem. Everybody is trying to hustle because, you know, boxing has a bad reputation from back in the day. You know, the mob used to control boxing. You know what I'm saying? The mob don't have their hand on boxing like they used to back in the day, where fighters that deserved title shots didn't get a title shot. Like Jake LaMotta. Jake LaMotta had to lose a fight because some mob guy was running a commission, and he told Jake LaMotta, if you lose this fight, I give you a title fight. And Jake LaMotta was undefeated at the time. He didn't want to lose the fight, but he wanted his title shot. So he went in there, he threw the fight, and he got his title shot the next fight. And, you know, it came out, that corruption came out, so he had to go before, you know what I'm saying, the court system, and he had to testify that, yeah, he threw the fight because he wanted a title fight. People like Archie Moore, it took 16 years for Archie Moore to get a title fight. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous, man. Boxing don't have the integrity like basketball, like football, like tennis, like the other sports, because those sports, they protect the integrity of the sport by having a commission over the sport. They have a pay scale. Like in tennis, you go through a tournament. If you're the number one contender, you don't get to cherry pick and say, no, I don't want to play this ranked guy. I want to play that ranked guy. You don't know. You go through the system. Like boxing needs a system. It needs a system. So what these guys will not be out here cherry picking like this. You know what I'm saying? Like pay-per-view should be for super fights, like a fighter going up in the weight division because he dominated his division, or he cleaned out his division, and he want to go test himself at a higher division to see, you know what I'm saying, how far he can go. fighting another champion, or two champions in the same division, like if a WBC and WA champion fight each other. That should be on pay. Okay, I'll accept that for pay-per-view, but not, you know what I'm saying, Guerrero versus Manny Pacquiao, and Guerrero coming off a loss. And Manny Pacquiao beat Rios, but that was his comeback fight from getting knocked out. You see what I mean? See how they selling us? No, let's stop. We can stop ordering these fights, and by our actions of not ordering the fights, they will start seeing that, no, the standard of pay-per-view is not going to be this standard. You know what I'm saying? Like Mayweather, he fought Guerrero. Okay, Guerrero beat Aidin and he beat Berto, but was that a pay-per-view fight? Mayweather could have fought someone else. He could have fought Martinez and challenged himself at 160. You know what I'm saying? Then that, to me, you could have made that a big event. If you could make a big event with Guerrero, you could make a big event with Martinez. Martinez, you know what I'm saying, is undefeated for the last, I don't know how many years, and he's a champion in multiple weight divisions. He's the reigning linear champion at middleweight. You could have fought him, or you could have fought someone else. You could have fought a Tim Bradley that's undefeated. You know what I'm saying? You could have fought someone else and made a super fight out of it instead of fighting Guerrero. I mean, come on, man. Seriously? Like, y'all are, you know what I'm saying, watering down. Pay-per-view has been watered down. Like, if they try to put this Canelo versus Angulo fight on here on pay-per-view, and they try to make it the main fight, the number one fight, then you know what I'm saying, you know it's getting ridiculous, because both of these guys coming off of losses. So that's my take on it. This is Boxing Talk 8576. Hey, and if you have any comments, or you know what I'm saying, any way that you know that you can help boxing, you know what I'm saying, change the rules and help your opinions or anything you got to help boxing, you know, have integrity instead of being the wild wild west, just leave some comments below. But this is Boxing Talk 8576. I'm out.